Hello and welcome to Sharonda TV. I appreciate you taking the time to stop by and listen to my thoughts. Make sure you hit that like button, share, and subscribe. And today I pretty much want to talk about leaving religion and being spiritually attacked. I left church at the age of 20, which wasn't the easiest choice for me, but I feel like it was very necessary. Before I actually walked away, I would study the Bible and I would pray with all my might to get some kind of guidance on what I should do. I had already left the church that I grew up in, which was a holiness church, and had been attending a Church of God in Christ, which seemed like nothing was working out for me, and I didn't feel like I really belonged there. But before I actually made the choice to leave, there were a few things that I can remember that had started happening that definitely made me feel like leaving was the right move for me. So I can remember like I would study the Bible through the week or whatever, and I would make my little notes. And on the following Sunday, the preacher would preach on those same scriptures, which kind of freaked me out. So I ended up talking to my dad about it, and because I had a feeling that no one in church would believe me anyway. So his advice pretty much was to pray about it and to trust my gut, or to just leave that church altogether and just find another church, go back to my church home. So I damn sure didn't want to hear that, but it was what I needed to hear at the time. So I pretty much decided to go ahead and leave church, and I went to a few other churches before I left the church scene altogether. Honestly, I just wanted to know the truth about God. I wanted some kind of proof of Jesus and his existence. I felt like I had resonated with a lot of the teachings in the New Testament, and I should be more like Christ and his disciples and go out throughout the world spreading the gospel, spreading the truth. I couldn't do that though because I didn't know the truth. So for the next few years after walking away, it was pretty tough for me, and because I was deeply rooted in those traditions. I had been in the choir, I had played the organ. I mean, I love Bible studies. Overall, I was just, used to going to church. I really didn't start researching for about maybe 10 years plus after I left the church. Once I moved away from my hometown and the little area surrounding my hometown, I kind of, I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little disconnected from everything, which kind of made me get the urge to want to start researching religion altogether. And the only place I could think of at the time was to start at the library. So I figured since I was living somewhere that was a little bigger than the place that I grew up in, I thought maybe I could find some answers there. Well, what I found was pretty interesting because I really didn't have a clue about any other Bibles that had been printed before the King James Version, other than the Gideon's Bible. So naturally, the more I found, the more I kind of got angry and had a little rage. I was finding out things about religion that I had never heard of, and I definitely had never heard of any preacher speaking on it, which really kind of made me feel some kind of way. So either way, I stopped researching, and I pretty much, I don't know, just wanted to walk away from it altogether. Um, I really wasn't sure what I should do. So I can remember though, there was this little lady I had met that had given me a book called The Shack. I don't know if many of you have heard of it or not, but they years after the book was written, they made a movie based off of it, which was actually a pretty good movie. But what stuck out to me the most about the book was the writer made God's character a black woman, which really started my mind going, and it wanted me to really, really find out some answers. So I can remember like certain verses in the Bible that referred to other gods, and which always raised the question to me because I was like, who are these other gods? I remember like in Luke 17 verses 20 to 21, Psalms 82 verse 6, and John. I mean, the list goes on. There are different references in the Bible that refer to other gods, and then saying that ye are the gods and things to that nature. So I wanted to know. I just really needed to know the truth, and I felt like shoot, I already walked away from church. I might as well go ahead and get deep into this and find out what I can find out. So anyway, pretty much growing up, I already always knew I was a little different anyway because I've always been the type of person to have dreams and kind of see things happen before they happen, and that was something that I definitely was never, you know, too open about. And I remember that every time I would try to speak on it or whatever, people just pretty much look at me like I'm crazy. Little things like I know that throughout my life I've always picked up on other people's energy. Well, honestly, I didn't know that's what it was. It took me a long time to start learning a lot of this terminology and kind of understand what I had been dealing with throughout my life. But if anybody out there know anything about being an empath, then that's pretty much you know what I'm talking about. For those that don't know anything about an empath, then I don't know what to tell you other than to do your little research and look into it. It's definitely a real thing. I wouldn't have never known to call myself anything like that, but after doing a little research on it or not, I was like, yeah, I'm an empath. I pick up on other people's energy very, 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 very easy. And I would always wonder like why I was having a sudden mood change, or I would feel different things that didn't make sense because I didn't feel like, like different pains or whatever. And I was like, where the hell is this coming from or whatnot? So I pretty much knew that it wasn't no return to church. Like I would talking to different people or whatever, they will always say, you should just go back to church and pray about it. Jesus loves you and all this good stuff. But I knew I wasn't going back to church. I felt like I got gifts. I don't want to lose them or whatnot, because like I say, I was deeply rooted in church. Like I was that person that I believed those scriptures. I took them literally. That's all I knew. I didn't understand so much, and I'm glad that through the years I've had the opportunity to do a little more research and kind of get a better understanding about everything. But a lot of that I had experienced, growing up and still up until this day, I didn't know like the terminology being spiritually attacked or whatever. That was just something that I come across over these past few years, and I was like, oh, this is what's been happening. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, it's been a big deal for me leaving the church. It's always been a big deal for me because it it just made some of the things in there just made sense to me, but it was a whole lot about the Bible I couldn't agree with. Like some of the teachings of Jesus, yeah, like some of the things in the New Testament I was good with. But it was so much in there that I couldn't understand, especially like the Old Testament. That I didn't understand all that. Like it was so much murder and just I was like, this guy mean as hell. So either way it go, as far as being spiritually attacked, for those of you out there that don't think you may have ever been, I can promise you, yes, you have, because I feel like in my heart that for people that have certain gifts or abilities, I think it's always people around that can see your light, so to speak. They kind of more aware of your abilities than you are, especially if you were anything like me coming up. I was kind of asleep to a lot of my gifts or whatnot. I mean, I knew what was happening with me, but I didn't know what to call it. And I definitely couldn't really verbalize a lot of it. So, but I definitely believe that there's something or some type of spirits that's kind of always lurking, that's waiting to like kind of come at you. Besides that, I also believe it don't matter. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be your spouse, it could be anyone, people you least expect. You could, you know, get spiritually attacked or whatever, and it's hard because you feel close, especially with your spouse, and you feel close to your family. You know what I mean? So when they coming at you, at some point you got to think it's like it's not this isn't just normal, being picked on or whatever. This is something deeper. This is something more. So the more I start looking into spirituality and religion and trying to learn stuff, and the more I wanted to figure myself out, I started identifying some of those attacks. And I noticed that over time, if I would pay attention, I would get warning. So it would kind of give me a chance to prepare myself. But I didn't know that was happening at first, which I'm like I say, I'm a lot better today than I was. I have a better understanding, but I'm still learning a lot. I mean, this has been like a 20 something year journey for me, or at least a 20-year journey for me. So it's a lot I've had an opportunity to experience and learn, so I don't want to really make this video too long, but I just want to pretty much put out there to you guys that there are people that are aware of you. For those of you that are in the process of like, debating whether you should stick with this religious stuff, or you kind of facing things in life and you kind of don't understand what's really going on because you're doing the best you can to make it or whatnot. It's a good chance that there is a lot more in you that you should probably want to discover, and you may have some type of gift or ability that's necessary, especially at a time like now. We're experiencing it's a lot going on in the world, and we're definitely going through a time where people are starting to wake up and starting to find out a lot of information when it comes to religion or whatnot. And I encourage you guys to kind of, do your research or whatever, because some of the spiritual attacks you receive may come from people you least expect. It may come from, like I say, a family member, a spouse, or a close friend or whatever, and you'll wonder why you kind of always feel a certain kind of way around them, or why they always coming at you in a certain way. But it may not be them intentionally trying to come at you, but it could be the negative spirit around, kind of using them at the time. So I encourage people to kind of, do your little research, kind of, take the time to really want to know yourself, because, like I say, I didn't know what was happening with me. I just knew I always felt different things, and I knew growing up in church or whatever that I was a little oddball, and like I say, I've always been the type to have dreams and stuff, and I wish I had a dream interpreter. That would be awesome. Some things I feel like I could figure out, but there are dreams still to this day that I wish I could get somebody to interpret those dreams for me, because, whew, I think it would be nice anyway. But yeah, I don't want to make this video too long. I just want to pretty much put out there to you guys that, kind of watch your surroundings, you know, pay attention to those around you. You'll be surprised, because once, if you start noticing little things, the more you pay attention, the more you give yourself the opportunity to build up your defense, know how to deal with it. The better you be able to identify, what's really going on. So, yeah, I think I'll end up, hopefully, maybe I'll make a part two and really kind of go in deep with some of the things I've found over time to really get me to where I am today. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button, share, and subscribe.